I think he must have been listening to a lot of music. He had a lot of musicians in his own family, you know, with his grandfather, with his cousins, and his uncles, and his mother, he said, was a singer. And so there was a lot of music even in his own household, even in the area. And then I remember reading him, he talked about, in his book, he mentioned a man called Sam Nesbitt, I think maybe it was. And that man had gone over to Glasgow at some point, and he was, I think, maybe teaching classical music over there. And he would come home every so often, and actually I think he stayed in Tommy's home place for a while. And I suppose it was a combination of all of that, because he was definitely influenced by music in Scotland. I know he had spent a period there too. So he was influenced by that, and you can hear that in his music as well, you know. But to say, is there somebody before him that you can hear that he's copying? Definitely not. Not to my knowledge, anyway.
We all change.
Absolutely. Everybody's music evolves, you know, and so did Tommy's, yeah. I suppose towards, as he was writing more, he tended to play more of his own stuff. That was one thing maybe that was noticeable, and he was definitely playing more intricate stuff as well. And I suppose that's something that challenged him, and he enjoyed that challenge. Yeah, definitely, but I mean, evolved for the better, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I didn't really know him that well as a person, but he did strike me as being somebody who was a deep thinker, and he was full of emotion, and that all comes out in his music as well, you know. It's just rich in terms of emotion, you know, whether it's, I mean, there's sometimes when you listen to the airs that he plays, you can really, like, you'd be in tears maybe sometimes, you know, listening to it. The liveliness and the spirit that's in the jigs and in the reels, it's just something that's there naturally. It's never forced, or it never has the feeling, or it never sounds contrived. It's all very natural, do you know, and that's something again that appeals to me. And I've watched Tommy perform on a number of occasions. I remember one time going to hear him at the, I think it was in 2012, at the NAFCO conference in Derry. And he was very nervous, but even like with the nerves still. And he was a man of very few words on the stage. And I remember on that particular occasion, it was a composition recital himself and Liz Carroll were doing. And Liz, of course, she's well able to talk, and she's great at playing, and she has these fantastic compositions. And Tommy, in contrast, was sitting there, very few words, but his music spoke volumes, you know, on the day. Even that clip that they have, that we can watch now online, of Tommy in Milwaukee playing, he's there on the stage as a solo artist, and he's nervous. You can tell that he's nervous about having to speak into the microphone and announce what he's going to play or whatever. But once he plays, like, it's as if he just goes into another world, and the music is so magical. And by, 45 minutes or an hour, whatever, after all that time playing, the people, they haven't had enough. They want to hear more, and you can just hear that in the response coming from the bull of bus at the end. Well, he came from a very musical family, and I think, and he had such a deep love of that heritage. Once he was aware that he had a talent, that he was the carrier of this tradition, and he made it, and he did that as best he could, be it through playing, performing, or writing music. You know, it was something that was in him, and he needed to pass it on, and what a legacy he has left. Well, even in terms of his own family, I mean, his daughter Siobhan playing great stuff. That's one way, I suppose, it'll be definitely carried on. I'm sure there'll be loads more in the generations to come in that family, and the likes of Seamus Gibson would be a contemporary of my own. I think his music in years to come, and way beyond, long after I'm gone, I'll definitely think that those tunes will be very much to the fore. I think what's really nice and important in this case too, it's not just other people describing him or other people, showing his work. He actually has left something himself outside of even his recordings. Do you know? That's very personal, because there's a lot of personal stories in the book as well. And sometimes I think he argued with himself, and maybe thought at times, maybe I shouldn't publicise this, or maybe, should I do this? But he felt that it was right for him, and he was brave enough to do that. And I think he has to be admired for that. And there's no doubt that he had a lot going on in his life from he was a young lad in right through till whatever time he passed away. And he managed to overcome all that, and it's all in his music.